What is up, homies? Welcome back to another trailer reaction from Heroes Reforged. I'm doing this one solo. I'm watching the brand new trailer for the Odyssey. Everyone's out for the holidays, people are working, so I wanted to tackle this one and make sure that we got it out in a timely manner. This movie, as everyone knows, is directed by Christopher Nolan, coming hot off of his Academy Award-winning run for Oppenheimer. It's crazy to think that we're already 2.5 years since Oppenheimer has released, and this is only 6-7 months away. I don't know what time is, but I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie. I got a chance to check out the prologue, which I'll talk about after I watch the trailer. It was great. Spoilers. Really looking forward to this. This is the first film obviously shot with IMAX film cameras in its entirety. It's using the brand new IMAX Keeley camera, named after David Keeley, of course, who is the chief quality officer at IMAX, who recently sadly passed away. It's named after him and his wife and their contributions to film and IMAX and all that technology, which is amazing. Yeah, I'm really excited for this. We've had a lot of historical epics and historical films made. Obviously, we continue to have those made, but not a ton, I would say, at this budget and scale. I don't know. I just off the top of my head, I can't name one right now, but I'm sure there has been one, but I don't know how recent it is. I jokingly talk about Troy and how people can watch the prequel to this movie, but which I will be definitely revisiting. Speaking of which, I believe, and I don't want to call it too soon, but I think that we're going to try to watch Christopher Nolan's filmography leading up to this film, because I think it'd be fun to see his evolution as a filmmaker, but also to see how he's evolved, how the technology has evolved as well, and how he's implemented things like IMAX into his films. So be on the lookout for that. We'll have that on our Patreon and on YouTube going into 2026. This is definitely a top 3 most anticipated for me, so let's check it out. Agamemnon.
Years of war.
I think that looks really cool. Sorry, haters.
No one could stand between my men. And home. Not even me.
Oh yeah, baby. Wow. These are parts from the prologue. Wow. Yeah, absolutely massive scale.
Promise me you will come back.
What if I can't?
That's it, baby. In theaters with special engagements in 70mm, 35mm, and IMAX film. Shot entirely with IMAX film cameras. The first of its kind. Well, I should say, obviously, the first narrative feature film to do this. 70mm is great, 35mm is great. Yeah, this is definitely one of those movies that you need to seek it out in the, I want to say, most accessible but highest format you can find it in. If you don't have an IMAX 70mm projector near you, then I totally understand why you won't be able to see it, or why you don't want to necessarily find a way to see it in that format, because they are far and few between. If you can access 35mm, 70mm, I still think that's an incredible option. But in terms of the trailer itself, I think the trailer looks really great. It's not labeled a teaser trailer, but in some ways it is, because you just get little bits and pieces of what the story is and what narratively we can expect with this. I jokingly tweeted that I'm looking forward to watching the prequel to this movie, Troy, from 2004, the Wolfgang Peterson film, which obviously goes deeply into the siege at Troy and all that sort of stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, there's going to be plenty of people who are going to read the book before they see this. Whether or not I will, I'm not totally sure. It might be something worth doing. I am, and I talk about this quite a bit, that I am one of those people who I tend to not read the source material before I see it because I want the movie to just be the movie. Because I think sometimes what happens is people who will read the source material, whether it's based on, true events or not, they'll read that and they'll let that influence their opinion of the movie. And I have a feeling that that might be how I would interpret a film. So I tend to just wait until after the movie's done. And if it's a graphic novel, I'll usually read it right away. If it's a book, it might take me a little bit more time. But visually, this looks like a stunning movie. You're shooting it on literally the highest possible capture technology that has existed and maybe will exist for the foreseeable future. So a lot of the stuff looks beautiful. I think a huge advantage of shooting this movie on 65mm film, especially 15 perf, where it's 3 times the size of your standard 65mm negative, your darks and your brights are going to look incredible, and you're going to have that huge range of color and contrast that you can pull from. And I think that is exemplified here in a lot of the stuff that is shot in the night. I think the movie's also going to use a ton of old school film techniques to pull off some of the stuff. You have a giant Cyclops in the movie. I feel like it's going to be a lot of forced perspective. They're going to do a lot of things that maybe Peter Jackson did with Lord of the Rings, with putting characters in the foreground and other characters in the background, but matching the eye line so it looks like they are talking to each other, even though they're completely different scales. I'm really excited to see how Christopher Nolan is going to do a lot of that stuff, because as we know, he's an in-camera sort of filmmaker. He doesn't want to use a ton of CG if he doesn't have to. So I think that we're in for a real treat for a movie that's going to be where a lot of the work I think will be done in camera, and then it'll be enhanced with visual effects later on. But looks beautiful. The soundtrack sounds amazing. I also did get to see the 6-minute prologue when I went to go see Sinners and One Battle After Another last week, and it looked beautiful in IMAX 70mm, and I think it gave us a real good sense of scale and action and what we can expect from this movie. I loved it. I thought it looked incredible, and I really cannot wait to see what this entire film is going to look like in that full IMAX 70mm 1:3:1 ratio. It's interesting that they would choose to release this trailer in 239. I thought that because it's being shot entirely with IMAX film cameras, that the non-IMAX version will be cropped to 1:8:5, but I guess Christopher Nolan wants to preserve that cinematic 239 for all the non-IMAX theaters, and you obviously got to give digital IMAX also something to chew on in that 1:9:1. So that will be interesting. This, in rare form, I might seek this movie out in every format just to see if I prefer the IMAX version, the digital IMAX version, or the standard 239 crop. Yeah, it's an interesting choice. I am someone beating at the drum of IMAX's door and saying, release the 1:4:3 version, because I want to see what this trailer looks like in that full frame. Because when I saw the prologue, I thought, and maybe I was wrong, it felt like the framing was different to accommodate for that full frame consistently throughout the whole movie. But maybe I was wrong. Maybe the scenes that I saw were specifically made with that in mind, because it was meant to be sort of the prologue or the recap of what had happened at the Battle of Troy. So I don't know. I'm really excited for this. This is probably, if not my number one, definitely in the top 3 most anticipated films of 2026. So I cannot wait to see. But let me know in the comments below, what was your first impressions of this trailer? And if you got to see the prologue, what did you think of it? I also got to see it digitally before Avatar Fire and Ash, and I thought it looked incredible in laser IMAX as well. But let me know your thoughts. And if you recommend reading the book or reading the source text before seeing the movie, is that maybe going to be a little bit of an easier way to get people into the film? Or do you think that it's fine if people wait after the fact? Or should they just watch Troy? Let me know. Check out everything else we're watching. See you guys in the next one.
Heroes Reforged is gonna react. Heroes Reforged is gonna review. Heroes Reforged is gonna discuss. That's why we are watching.